Dinner's ready." Sarah called from the kitchen. "Coming?" I shouted back, wiping my hands on a rag. I stepped into the warm glow of the dining room. Leela was already at the table, swinging her little legs, her eyes lighting up when she saw me. "Daddy," she yelled, running over and wrapping her tiny arms around my legs. "Hey, Pumpkin," I laughed, bending down to hug her. "Did you have fun today?" "Yes. I played with Emma and drew a big rainbow." "That sounds amazing," I said, ruffling her hair. Sarah came in carrying a steaming bowl of soup. "Can you help me set the plates?" she asked with that effortless smile that always made my chest tighten. "Of course," I said, grabbing the cutlery. Daniel appeared at the doorway, holding a basket of groceries. "Need a hand?" he asked, grinning. "You're always here, Daniel," I said, shaking my head with a chuckle. "We'd be lost without you." "Happy to help," he said. "Besides, someone has to make sure Sarah doesn't burn the soup again." Sarah rolled her eyes playfully. "I've been cooking for years. Thank you very much." Lila giggled. "Daniel, help me pour the juice." "On it, little one," he said, kneeling to assist her. I leaned against the counter, watching them. There was something comforting about this scene. Laughter, chatter, clinking dishes. I thought about how lucky I was. My family. Our little home. Everything felt right. "So, how was work today?" Sarah asked as she sat down. "Busy as usual," I replied, pouring myself some soup. "But seeing you both makes it worth it." "You're sweet," Sarah said, smiling. Daniel sat across from me. "He really means it. He's the best dad I know." I laughed. "Flattery will get you nowhere, Daniel." Sarah reached for my hand. "I love these dinners. All of us together." "Me too," I said softly. "It feels unbreakable." Lila clapped her hands. "Can we have ice cream later?" "Of course," I said, smiling. After dinner, Daniel helped clear the table while I played with Lila in the living room. We built towers of blocks and then knocked them down, laughing until our sides hurt. Daniel stood nearby, joking and keeping an eye on everything. At this point, I trusted him completely. He was more than a neighbor, he was family. I thought of him as a brother, someone who always had our back. Later that night, I tucked Lila into bed. "Good night, my little star," I whispered, brushing her hair from her forehead. "Good night." "Daddy," she murmured, already half asleep. I watched her for a moment, marveling at her innocence. Then I went to the living room where Sarah was scrolling on her phone. "Long day?" I asked casually, sitting beside her. She looked up and smiled. "Yeah, just a little tired. Nothing to worry about." I noticed her fingers lingered on the screen, her smile fleeting. But I told myself I was imagining things. Love was stronger than doubt. "Are you sure you're okay?" I asked. "I'm fine," she said, leaning against me. "Really?" I nodded, trusting her words. We watched a bit of TV, our legs touching on the sofa, the quiet comfort of shared presence. Yet a subtle unease tickled the back of my mind. Sarah had always been open with me, but tonight there was a distance, a secret I couldn't see. I shook it off. "Maybe it's just work stress," I muttered to myself. "Everything is fine." The next morning I kissed Lila awake. "Rise and shine, little one." "Daddy," she squealed, hugging me tightly. Sarah appeared in the doorway, smiling but quiet. "Morning," she said softly. I poured cereal into Lila's bowl. Daniel appeared outside the window, waving. "Morning, folks. Need help with the lawn today?" "Always," I said, smiling. He waved at Lila, and she giggled. I watched them interact. I wanted to freeze this moment, lock it away forever. Our life was simple, happy, perfecter, so I believed. Even as subtle cracks began to appear, Sarah's distracted glances at her phone. Her slight withdrawal, I convinced myself it was nothing. Love was supposed to withstand anything, right? I clung to that thought, believing in our unbreakable bond. Little did I know, the illusion of perfection was only that an illusion. And yet, in this moment, I had no doubt. No suspicion. Only warmth, laughter, and the unshakable feeling that this was how life was meant to be. For now, at least it was perfect. Daniel's here again, I asked as I set my briefcase down by the door. Sarah didn't look up from the kitchen counter. He just stopped by to help with the faucet. It was leaking. I glanced toward the living room. Daniel was crouched, playing with Leela, both of them laughing. My jaw tightened, though I forced a smile. He's good with her. Don't start, Sarah muttered, brushing past me with a dish towel. You work late? Someone has to help me around here, I know, I said softly. But it feels like he's here more than I am. She turned sharply. Maybe if you were around, it wouldn't bother you so much. Her words hit harder than I expected. I swallowed, forcing calm. I'm working for us. For her? I pointed at Lila, who was too busy stacking blocks with Daniel to notice the tension. Later that night, in bed, I reached for Sarah's hand. She pulled away, turning her back. Are you upset? I whispered. No, she said flatly. You've been distant. You're imagining things. I don't think I am. She sighed, annoyed. Please, not tonight. I'm tired. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. My mind spun. Am I a fool? Or is something slipping through my fingers? The next morning at breakfast, I tried again. Sarah, did I do something wrong? She poured juice without looking at me. Why would you ask that? Because you don't talk to me anymore. She shook her head, almost laughing. You're paranoid. Honestly, you sound crazy. Daniel knocked at the door just then. Sarah lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. Daniel, come in, she called, smiling wide. I watched them exchange a glance, an inside joke hidden in their eyes. Morning, I said stiffly. Hey, buddy. Daniel grinned, clapping me on the back. Just came to check that faucet again. It's funny, I muttered. It never leaked when I fixed it. Sarah shot me a look. Don't be rude. I wasn't, I said quickly, but my chest burned. That evening, I tried to distract myself with Leela. We built towers of blocks in the living room. She giggled as they toppled over. Daddy, higher. She squealed. All right, one more, I said, stacking carefully. Her laugh washed over me like medicine. But when the doorbell rang again and Sarah rushed to answer, my calm cracked. Daniel stood there holding a bag of groceries. I thought you might need these, he said. Sarah beamed. You're a lifesaver. I clenched my jaw. We can buy our own groceries. Daniel raised his hands, just trying to help. Sarah touched his arm. Ignore him. He's tired from work. I stared, fury building, but Lila tugged my sleeve. Daddy Tower again? I forced a smile. Of course, sweetheart. The next few weeks blurred together. Daniel appeared almost daily, fixing things, dropping off food, playing with Lila. Even when I wasn't home, his car was in the driveway. One night I came home early. Through the kitchen window, I heard laughter, Sarah's and his. I stepped inside. What's so funny? They both froze, then exchanged a glance. Nothing, Sarah said quickly. Just something Daniel said. Tell me, I pressed. It wouldn't make sense to you, Daniel replied smoothly. I forced a chuckle. Right? Your secret language. Sarah rolled her eyes. You're reading too much into things. I walked past them, grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat heavily at the table. My chest ached. Later that night I asked again, Sarah, do you still love me? She hesitated before answering. Why would you even ask? Because I don't feel it anymore. You're imagining things, she repeated. I stared at her back as she turned away. My heart pounded with a dread I couldn't silence. Days stretched into weeks, and the weight grew heavier. At work, I smiled through meetings, but inside, I felt hollow. Coming home, I braced myself for Daniel's car, his laugh in my living room, his shadow in my walls. I told myself he was just being helpful, just a neighbor. But deep down, I knew. Something precious was slipping away, and I was powerless to stop it. I came home earlier than usual, the sky still faint with dusk. As I stepped into the house, I heard it Sarah's laughter, light and breathless. Drifting down the hall, it wasn't for me. My stomach tightened. I dropped my keys on the counter and moved toward the bedroom, my hands trembling. I pushed the door open. Sarah froze. Daniel froze. Sheets tangled around them like proof I couldn't deny. For a moment the room spun. My ears rang so loud I couldn't hear my own breathing. "Sarah," my voice cracked. "What is this?" She scrambled, clutching the blanket. "It's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like." I laughed bitterly. "You're in bed with him." Daniel sat up, guilt written across his face. "Man, I didn't mean don't talk to me." I snapped, my fists clenching. "You were in my home. With my wife? With my child sleeping down the hall?" Sarah reached out. "Please, let me explain." "Explain what?" I shouted. My chest felt like it was splitting. "How long? How long has this been happening?" Her lips trembled. She didn't answer. I stepped back, shaking my head. "God, I trusted you. I trusted both of you." Daniel muttered. "It was a mistake." "A mistake?" My voice broke. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner." This I pointed at them, rage flooding me. "This is betrayal," Sarah cried, clutching the blanket tighter. I was lonely. "You were always working," I staggered, her words cutting deep. "I was working for us. For you, for Leela. Everything I did was for this family." Daniel stood pulling on his shirt. "I'll go." "Damn right you will," I growled. "Get out before I do something I'll regret." He avoided my eyes, slipping past me, shame trailing in his wake. I turned back to Sarah, my chest heaving. "How could you? After everything. After the nights I stayed late, the mornings I left early, thinking I was giving you the life you deserved?" Tears streaked her face. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did." I sank against the wall, my head in my hands. "You destroyed me. Do you even understand that?" She sobbed, but I couldn't bring myself to comfort her. Silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. Finally, I whispered, "I can't look at you right now." I turned and walked out, my legs unsteady. In the living room, the world felt unreal, like I'd stepped outside of myself. The sound of Leela's soft breathing from her room broke through the haze. I pushed her door open gently. She was curled up with her stuffed bear, her tiny chest rising and falling peacefully. I knelt beside her bed and pressed my forehead to her little hand. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I tried to keep us together. I thought love was enough." Tears spilled down my face as I held onto her hand. Afraid to let go, in the distance, I heard Sarah crying in the bedroom. But I shut it out. All I could feel was the weight in my chest, the blood rushing in my ears, the shattering of everything I thought was unbreakable. I kissed Lila's forehead, my voice shaking. "I'll protect you, no matter what, even if it kills me." I stayed there until the house grew quiet, my tears soaking into the sheets, the truth pressing down on me like stones. My marriage was ashes, and nothing could bring it back. The days after felt like walking through smoke. Every sound, every breath carried the echo of what I'd seen. At breakfast, Sarah tried to speak. "Can we talk?" I pushed my plate away. "About what?" "About how you tore us apart?" Her eyes filled. "It wasn't like that, then tell me what it was like," I cut in. "Because from where I stood, it was you and him in my bed." "Oh," she rubbed her temples. "I was lonely. You were never here. You worked, and I felt invisible." I laughed bitterly. "Invisible?" "I worked so you didn't have to. I gave you everything." "I didn't want everything," she snapped. "I wanted you." Her words stabbed, but I bit back. "And your solution was Daniel? The neighbor? You couldn't wait to ruin us with him." She cried quietly. "I didn't plan it. You didn't stop it either." The silence stretched. I couldn't bear to look at her. That night, as I lay awake, her voice from the next room echoed in my mind, her laughter with him, soft and intimate. I pressed my palms to my ears, but nothing drowned it out. The next morning, Daniel was in his yard. I stepped outside, rage boiling. "Stay away from my house." He didn't meet my eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It meant every second of it," I spat. "You came into my home, played with my daughter, smiled in my face, and behind my back you destroyed me." He shifted uneasily. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. My voice cracked. Sorry doesn't erase the nights I trusted you. He didn't answer. He just walked inside, leaving me shaking. Inside, Lila tugged my sleeve. Daddy, can we play blocks? I knelt, forcing a smile. Of course, her laughter rang out as the tower fell. For a moment I breathed. Her innocence was untouched, her joy unbroken. Sarah appeared in the doorway. She needs us both. She needs honesty, I said coldly. She needs stability. Things you didn't think about when you chose him. Her lips trembled. I made a mistake. A mistake that lives next door. A mistake that sits like poison in my chest. Shh, she whispered. I still love you. I stared at her. Love. Don't use that word. If you loved me, you wouldn't have given yourself to him. Her tears fell, but I felt no pity. At work, I stared at papers I couldn't read. My boss asked if I was okay. I lied, nodding. At night, I came home to Sarah's silence and Daniel's shadow across the fence. Leela became my anchor. She'd run into my arms shouting, Daddy! And I'd forget for a heartbeat. We'd color, play games, laugh together. She gave me reasons to breathe, but every time I saw Sarah's phone light up, every time I caught Daniel glancing toward my house, anger burned hotter. One evening I asked, Sarah, is it over? She looked down. Yes. Can I believe that? She didn't answer. I slammed my fist against the table. Damn it, Sarah. Do you know what this does to me? To us? She whispered, You're scaring me. God. I hissed. Maybe fear will remind you of what you risked losing. She flinched and guilt stabbed me, but I couldn't stop. I retreated to Lila's room, sitting beside her bed. She stirred and murmured, Daddy. I stroked her hair. It's okay, sweetheart. Go back to sleep. Her small hand clung to mine. In that touch, I found strength. Alone, in the quiet, I whispered to myself, I'll survive this. For her, even if it kills me inside, anger had taken root, and I knew it was only the beginning. We can get through this, Sarah said when I sat at the kitchen table that night. I saw you, I said. I saw you with him. She flinched.
I know.
I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix bedtime stories or the way I lied to myself. I kept my voice low. Do you want me to leave? No. I want us to work on this. To move on? Move on? I echoed, like sweeping glass under the rug. She reached across and touched my hand. We can forgive. We can heal. I pulled away. Forgive who? Him. You. Both of us, she whispered. Would you forgive me if I slept with someone else? I asked. That's different, she said. Different how? She didn't answer. When Lila was asleep, I called Mark. You awake? I asked. For you, Mark said. What's going on? She says we should move on. Move on to what? Mark barked. A smiling family photo and pretend nothing happened? She thinks time will fix it, I said. Time doesn't fix betrayal, Mark said. Proof does. Document everything. Keep screenshots, record times, note visits. Take pictures if you have to. I felt something cold and purposeful form inside me. You don't think I should forgive? Choose what you want. Don't be a ghost. The next day, I started small. I saved a text Sarah sent. Can you come over later? I saved Daniel's call logs. I logged nights, he knocked, and left repairs as excuses. I set my phone to record, not to trap voices, but to hold truth steady. When Daniel came over to fix the gate, I asked, Why do you keep coming here? He smiled. Because you guys are family. Family don't sneak around, I said. He shifted. I help because I can. You help a lot more than anyone should with a married woman, I said. He laughed. You're being dramatic, am I? I took a breath. You were with my wife in my bed. Do you call that helping? He went quiet. He didn't finish. I stepped closer. Look me in the eye. Tell me why. His face went pale. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt Lila. I didn't think don't speak for her, I snapped. Stay away. He nodded, eyes on the floor. I will. I wrote the time on a pad, Daniel Gate 3, 12 p.m. left groceries. I dated it, signed it like a man preparing a case at work. I skimmed old receipts, emails, small things that once made up our life. I printed messages that hinted at more than neighborliness. Each page felt like a step away from numbness. Sarah watched me with a mix of pity and irritation. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Saving us from lies," I replied. "You can't live like this," she protested. "Maybe I won't," I said. "Maybe I'll make sure this doesn't happen to someone else because I did nothing." She looked wounded. "You sound like a stranger." "Maybe I am," I said. "Maybe the man who trusted you is gone," she whispered. "I still love you, love." I echoed. "Love doesn't hide. Love doesn't make plans with another man." Her face crumpled. "I regret it every day." "I know you do," I said. "I regret trusting you." That evening I met a lawyer friend. "If I had proof of ongoing infidelity, could that affect custody?" I asked. "It depends on the child's well-being," he said. "But evidence matters. Keep everything." "I don't want to hurt Lila," I said. "Truth sometimes protects more than silence," he replied. Walking home, the angle of my shoulders changed. There was a plan now, a deliberate reclaiming of my life. I wouldn't vanish. I would hold the facts up like a light dot. At night, I lay awake with a binder on my lap, pages inside like maps. Lila's small hand had curled around my finger earlier. That image kept me steady. My hands closed on the binder. My heart was not steady, but my purpose was. I whispered into the dark, "I will not be erased." Next morning, Lila woke and crawled into my lap. She breathed, "Daddy." I said, "I will keep you safe, always." I meant it. I watched from the sidewalk, pretending to check my phone as Daniel struggled to assemble Lila's tricycle. "Are you sure this goes here?" he asked, holding a wheel awkwardly. Sarah rolled her eyes. "Daniel, for the last time, the instruction says it goes on the left." "I know what left is," he muttered. "Clearly not," she snapped. I smirked under my hoodie. The fire they'd lit was starting to burn them. Minutes later, Daniel slammed the handlebars down. "I give up." "Why is nothing simple?" Sarah crossed her arms. "Maybe if you paid attention for 5 seconds," he spun around. "Oh, so now it's my fault?" "It's not my fault you can't handle responsibility." She shot back. I chuckled softly. Responsibility, that word used to describe me, now weighed them down. Later, I saw Sarah scowling at the kitchen sink, a plate in her hand. "You left it in the sink again." "I was busy with Lila," Daniel said defensively. "You're always busy." She yelled. "Busy, busy, busy. You never think." I leaned against the fence, watching her frustration ripple. Daniel ran a hand over his face. "I'm trying. I really am. I can't do everything perfectly like you do." "You can't do anything perfectly," she shot back. He flopped onto the couch, muttering under his breath. I remembered nights I carried her grocery bags, stayed late to fix the faucet, played with Lila when she fussed. And they couldn't manage a tricycle without arguing. In the evening, I peeked through the window. Lila sat quietly, coloring, while Sarah and Daniel bickered across the room. "Why is she so quiet?" Sarah snapped. "I don't know," Daniel replied. "Maybe because you keep yelling at me?" Sarah's lips trembled. "I'm yelling because you're incompetent." Daniel groaned. "I didn't sign up for a second job raising her. I'm her neighbor, not her parent." A small laugh escaped me. Their perfect affair was cracking. The shine was gone. A week later, I watched Daniel try to cook dinner. Smoke filled the kitchen. "Daniel," Sarah shouted, "turn off the stove before you burn the house down." "I can handle it," he yelled back. "I've cooked before." "You've never cooked for a family?" She snapped. The argument escalated. I stayed hidden behind the fence, the bitter satisfaction swelling inside me. I walked home thinking about the nights I worried over them. My wife smiling in my arms, my daughter laughing. Now, They couldn't even survive simple routines without tension. I smiled as I poured Leela's milk at our kitchen table. "Daddy, what's that?" she asked, pointing at a sticker I'd placed on the fridge. "Just a reminder that some people grow up," I said quietly. She giggled. "I like that one." "Good," I said, stroking her hair. That night, Daniel tried to impress Sarah with some fancy pasta he attempted. She tasted it and grimaced. "You call this edible?" He froze. I followed the recipe." "I don't care." She shouted. "You think love fixes everything?" "It doesn't. Effort matters." I laughed quietly from my car. Karma wasn't instantaneous, but watching them stumble was satisfying. The weight of their poor choices was settling in. I drove home thinking of the nights I held Leela close, rocked her, told her everything would be okay. That strength the kind Daniel lacked was mine. Sarah paced the living room while Daniel sat on the couch, sulking. "I don't know why she's still mad," he muttered. "Because you're useless," she yelled, "and you make everything harder than it needs to be." I smiled at the thought of their unraveling. The fire they ignited between themselves was finally turning inward. Back at our house, Lila hugged my leg. "Daddy, are you happy?" I nodded. "I am, sweetheart. Very happy." She smiled, and I realized that while they struggled with what they thought was victory, I had already won something far more important: peace, stability, and control over my life. I sat in the lawyer's office, the papers spread before me like weapons. "You ready?" my lawyer asked. "I am," I said. "I've collected everything. Messages, call logs, visits. Enough to prove the truth. This isn't easy," he warned. "I know," I said. "But it's necessary." For Leela, courtroom lights were harsh, but I focused on the bench, not the glare. Sarah entered first, dressed neatly, but her eyes were red. Daniel followed, stiff and uncomfortable. "Mr. Thompson," the judge began, "let's hear your case." I rose, my hands steady. "Your Honor, I present this evidence to show a pattern of betrayal, neglect of truth, and emotional harm to my child." Sarah gasped. "You will have your turn," I said calmly, placing a folder on the table. "First, the messages. Dates and times showing clandestine meetings and dishonest excuses." Daniel's face went pale. Sarah stammered. "I can explain." "Explain what?" I asked, voice quiet but firm. "How you chose another man over your family?" "I was lonely," she said. "You were loved, cared for, and yet you betrayed that trust," I said. "Every late night, every effort I made, it was ignored. Do you understand what that does to a child?" Lila's face popped into my mind, her small hand clutching mine. I didn't falter. Daniel tried to interject. "You will speak when asked," I said sharply. His jaw tightened, silence taking him instead. The lawyer went through the evidence. I didn't speak again for long stretches, letting the documents tell the story. Screenshots of texts, logs of visits, even small notes Sarah had left behind, proof of what I had lived through. Sarah broke down halfway through. Tears streaked her makeup. I didn't mean intent doesn't erase consequence," I said softly. "And Daniel," I looked at him, "your silence doesn't protect her. It protects you." He swallowed hard, avoiding my gaze. The judge leaned forward. "It's clear there's enough here to establish emotional instability and risk to the child's welfare. Mr. Thompson, the custody arrangements?" "I request primary custody," I said, keeping my voice steady. "She stays with me most of the time. Visitation for her mother under supervision until trust can be rebuilt." Sarah gasped. "You can't. You already broke this home," I said quietly. "I'm only asking for stability for Lila." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. I can't back her up," he muttered. The judge nodded. "The court will consider the evidence and prioritize the child's well-being." In that moment, a strange calm washed over me. Control, piece by piece, reclaimed. The rage was still there, simmering, but it no longer ruled me. After court, I walked Lila to the car. "Daddy," she asked. "Yes, sweetheart. Are we okay now?" I smiled, brushing her hair from her face. "We're going to be better than okay. We're going to be safe and happy." She grinned, and my chest felt lighter than it had in months. At home, the walls no longer felt suffocating. The memories lingered, of course, but each one was a reminder that I had endured. Survived, and now, for the first time, held power over my life. Sarah sent a text later. "We need to talk." I didn't respond. Daniel's car remained parked down the street, quiet, useless. Their world had become smaller, heavier, and the weight of their choices finally showed. I held Lila close that night. "Sleep well, my little one," I whispered. "Daddy will always protect you." As she drifted off, I looked around the house, the quiet, the safety. The reclaiming of space that was once mine, but had felt stolen. No screams, no vengeance, no blood. Just truth, and truth, finally, was mine. I heard the news first from a neighbor. "Did you hear about Daniel?" she asked, lowering her voice. "What happened?" I said, pretending not to care. "Claire found out. She's gone. Left him." I nodded, sipping my coffee. A small, bitter smile curled on my lips. The man who had thought himself untouchable was crumbling. Later that afternoon, I saw him in the yard, looking lost. He muttered to himself, pacing back and forth. "Daniel," I called. He froze, turning slowly. Hey. "Claire left you," I said. His eyes widened. You know?" I heard. He ran a hand through his hair. She just packed and left. I never thought she'd cut him off." "You never thought, and now look. Your reputation's gone. People know what kind of man you are." He laughed nervously. "I can fix it. I'll explain." "To whom?" I asked. "The neighbors. The friends you lied to? The woman you betrayed?" He stared at the ground. I didn't mean for any of this. You never do," I said quietly. "But intention doesn't erase action." He shook his head. "I didn't hurt Lila. Lila doesn't belong to you," I said sharply. "And she never will." Daniel flinched. I thought what?" I asked. "That you could steal happiness without paying a price?" He swallowed, silence stretching between us that night. I heard a soft knock on my door. "Sarah," I said before opening it. She stepped inside, her eyes red, voice trembling. "Please, I was wrong. I made a mistake. Can we try again?" I stared at her. "You're late. Very late, I know. But I love you. I've realized it, and I can't lose you. You destroyed me once," I said slowly. "I won't let you do it again." Tears streaked her face. "I'll do anything. I'll change. I promise." "I don't need promises," I said. "I need truth. And truth has a voice louder than words." "Your words are empty now." She stepped closer. "Please, just hear me out." "I heard enough when I walked into my bedroom," I said quietly. "You chose him over me, over our child, over everything we built." She flinched, unable to speak. I shook my head. "I won't repeat the same mistake. I won't let my heart be used like that again." Sarah's hands trembled at her sides. "But Lila, she's safe with me," I said firmly. "And that's all that matters. Not your regrets, not your apologies." "I love you," she whispered. "And I loved you too much once," I said. "But love doesn't mean blindness. It doesn't mean ignoring betrayal. I'll guard my heart now." She looked at me, hope flickering and dying in the same breath. I closed the door softly, leaving her on the porch, rain beginning to fall. I walked inside, holding Lila as she ran to me. "Daddy," she cried. "Hey, my little one," I said, lifting her. "Everything's okay. We're safe now." She hugged me tight, and I whispered, "No one can hurt us again." Down the street, I imagined Daniel sitting alone, Claire gone, reputation in ruins. Realizing too late that the world doesn't forgive selfishness, Sarah, abandoned, would have to live with her choices. The echo of her betrayal pressing against her. I didn't gloat. I didn't shout. I simply lived in silence, in calm, in the quiet justice that comes when truth is revealed. The tables had turned. The fire they lit had consumed them. I walked past the window where Daniel once smiled with impunity, now staring at the empty street, and I felt no pity. I held Leela closer, whispering she destroyed me once. I won't let her do it again. And in that moment, I knew victory wasn't blood or vengeance. It was truth revealed under harsh light, leaving the betrayers in ruins and me in control of what mattered most. I leaned back in my chair at work, rubbing my temples. "Rough morning?" Emily asked, leaning against my desk. I shrugged. "Just life catching up." She smiled softly. "You've been through a lot. Don't forget to breathe." "I know," I said. "It's just some nights the memories hit harder than I expect." "You're stronger than you think," she said. I looked at her, surprised. "You really believe that?" "I do," she said. "I've seen it. You're rebuilding, piece by piece." Later, I picked up Lila from school. "Hey, my favorite girl," I said. "Daddy?" She yelled, running into my arms. "How was your day?" I asked. "Fun. I made a new friend." "That's great," I said, smiling. "Did you tell them about your awesome dad?" She giggled. "A little. At home, I called my sister." "I need your help this weekend," I said. "Of course," she replied. "I'll come by." "Want me to bring anything?" "Just yourself," I said, "and your endless energy." That evening, Emily stopped by with coffee. "Thought you could use a break?" she said, handing me the cup. "Thanks," I said. "You're too kind. I just see you trying," she said. "And I know what you've been through. I want to help." "You already do," I said softly. She paused. "Do you ever think about moving forward? Meeting someone new?" I looked at her. "Honestly, I do. But it's complicated. Trust isn't easy after what happened." "I understand," she said. "And I'll go slow. Promise." At night, I tucked Leela into bed. "Daddy," she whispered, "will we always be okay?" "Yes, sweetheart," I said, brushing her hair from her forehead. "Always." She yawned. "I love you." "I love you too," I said, holding her hand until she fell asleep. After she slept, I sat at the kitchen table thinking. The house felt lighter now, though the scars remained. I whispered to myself, pain didn't break me. It shaped me. The next morning, my mother called. "I'm proud of you," she said. "Thanks, Mom," I said. "I needed that." "You deserve happiness," she said. "I'm trying," I said. "For me? For Leela?" Later at work, Emily dropped by again. "Lunch?" she asked. "Sure," I said. I could use the distraction. Over sandwiches, we laughed about silly office mishaps. I realized I hadn't smiled this freely in months. "You know," she said, "you're different now. Stronger." "I've had to be," I admitted. "Losing trust, rebuilding it, changes you." "I can see it," she said softly. "And I like it." "I like you." Felt heat rise to my cheeks. "I like you too." Outside, the sun was warm, light spilling into my chest. For the first time, I felt possibility, not fear. That night, I watched Lila play in the yard. "Daddy, watch me." She called. "I'm watching." I yelled, cheering her on. Emily came to the gate, smiling. "She's amazing," she said. "She's my world," I said, smiling back. We talked for a long time, quietly, about nothing and everything. I realized life could still hold good things, even after betrayal. After Emily left, I tucked Lila into bed again. "Daddy." "Yes, sweetheart." "Are we strong?" I hugged her tight. "Yes, my love. We're strong. Stronger than ever." As I lay awake later, I thought about the months behind me. Betrayal, heartbreak, rage, they shaped me. But love, trust, and small acts of care rebuilt me. I whispered again, pain didn't break me. It shaped me. I knew tomorrow would have challenges, but for the first time in a long time, I felt ready to face them. I saw her before she saw me. Sarah, standing on the edge of the park where Lila played, looking small and fragile in the autumn light. My chest tightened, but I stayed calm. "Can we talk?" she asked softly as I approached. "I suppose we can," I said, keeping my voice even. She swallowed. I've made a lot of mistakes. I know I hurt you, and I've realized I can't undo that. but I want a chance, just one, to explain myself. I nodded slowly. All right, one chance. She took a deep breath. I was selfish, foolish. I thought I could have both. I wanted excitement, I wanted attention, and I didn't think about the consequences. Did you think about Lila? I asked, voice quiet but firm. The one person who never deserved any of this? Her eyes filled with tears. Every day. I think about her all the time. And I ruined what we had. You did, I said. She shook her head. I know words can't fix it. I've tried, I've begged, I've hoped, I've regretted. But I understand now. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I see it clearly now. You do? I asked, keeping my tone controlled. Yes, she whispered. I see what I destroyed. I see the trust I broke, the life I shattered. I took a deep breath. Love without loyalty is nothing, Sarah. You gave me love in words, but never in action. Loyalty, honesty, those are what matter. You failed in both, she nodded, tears falling freely. I know. I can't change what I did. I know, I said, and that's why it's over. Not because I hate you, not because I want revenge, but because I need to protect myself and Lila. You cannot walk back into our lives as if nothing happened. I understand, she whispered, but please, I want you to know I am truly sorry. More than I've ever been in my life? I hear you, I said softly, and I accept your apology, but it doesn't change what was done. She flinched slightly at the calmness in my voice. I thought maybe you'd be angry. I thought you'd scream, yell. I was angry, I admitted. I was furious. But anger has no place here. Anger doesn't give me what I need. Clarity does. And clarity tells me to walk away. Sarah sobbed quietly. I don't deserve you, do I? No, I said, gently but firmly. Not anymore. Her head fell into her hands. I lost everything. Daniel's gone. My friends don't trust me. And I see now I lost you too. Yes, I said. You lost me. And Lila deserves stability, love, and honesty. Two things you couldn't provide. You understand, she whispered. I see now. I hope she will forgive me someday. She will, I said softly. But that doesn't mean she forgets. And it doesn't mean you get to return to what we had. Life doesn't work that way. She nodded, trembling. I'll leave. I won't come back. Good, I said. It's time. I reached down and took Lila's small hand in mine. She had been watching quietly from the swings, sensing something serious in the air. Daddy, she asked, tilting her head. I'm right here, sweetheart, I said, squeezing her hand. Everything's okay. Sarah looked at us, her face breaking with sorrow. You're both happy? We will be, I said, because we choose it. She stepped back. I'll go. Goodbye. I nodded. Goodbye, Sarah. As she walked away, I felt the weight of months lifting from my shoulders. No more betrayal, no more lies. Just the quiet strength of reclaiming what matters. Lila tugged my hand. Can we go get ice cream? Of course, I said, smiling. Let's go. On the way home, I thought about everything, the heartbreak, the rage, the nights I held her and cried silently. All of it shaped me. All of it taught me what mattered. Love is nothing without trust, loyalty, and honesty. Later that evening, I sat with Lila on the porch, her head resting against me. Daddy, she said softly, will we always be okay? Yes, my little one, I said. We've been through a lot, but we're okay. Stronger than ever, she smiled and squeezed my hand. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart, I said, holding her close. I watched the sunset. The golden lights spilling across the yard, illuminating everything. It felt like a new beginning. The shadows of betrayal had faded, replaced by quiet strength. I whispered to myself. I lost the woman I loved, but I found myself again, and that was worth more than anything. The cool evening breeze carried a sense of peace I hadn't known in months. I looked at Lila, at the life I had rebuilt, and knew that though scars remained, they didn't define us. Strength did. We walked inside together, hand in hand, ready for whatever came next, and for the first time I felt complete.